Now the way Zoom works, let's make a new recording for some decisions we need to make as a class. So there's two things we can do. If everyone has a fairly strong Math 20 background, which would surprise me, then a sensible thing to do is just say each week we will go through one of the chapters of the textbook. And that gets us done with 8 weeks. It's probably true that chapters 4 and 6 are longer than the others. Those would take 2 weeks. And so that's our 10 weeks. And we'll just go through the book in order. And when we get to the end, we stop. Ta-da, right? That's a sensible thing to do. The other thing we can do is, if your Math 20 background isn't so strong on average, then the ways to learn the material aren't to go through them in order. The textbook is organized like almost all basic math books, where we'll talk about fractions, and then we'll talk about ratios, and then we'll talk about percents, and then we'll talk about measurements. And that works after you've learned everything. That's how your brain organizes the basic math topics once you know them. But if you are learning it for the first time or reviewing it after a long time, then it makes sense instead to say, let's first look at all the things we can do with only one number, what I'm calling shape shifting with the Wonder Twin Lego guy. Then let's talk about smashing numbers together, what mathematicians call simplifying an expression. There's no equal sign yet. We're just putting together lots of numbers. So I'm calling that mad science, because we're mixing things together, seeing what comes out. And then at the end, we'll talk about equations, what to do once we have equal signs in there, being fair and doing the same thing to both sides of an equation. And in each of those, first you talk about fractions, and then ratios, and then percents, and then measurements. But you are much more methodical about first doing things with just one number, then doing things with only expressions and smashing numbers together, and then doing the same thing to both sides of an equal sign. So if I'm teaching Math 20, that's the order I always do things. And we just, for homework, jump around in the written PDF textbook to fit things to what's happening. I'm not sure which is the right thing to do. Do you want to be simpler and say, let's just do all of the topics in order of this book, because that's nice and organized? That's a very sensible decision. Or do you want to say, my Math 20 is kind of weak. Let's actually pretend this is more like a Math 20 class and start just by doing all the things to do about one number. And that will mean we're a little out of order in the Math 52 textbook, but I can jump to a page number. That's not a big deal. That's also a very sensible thing. So I think I want to actually make a poll about that. I'm going to do this 2 ways, because I also want to have you see how this works with polling. Okay, so it should work now, where I can say do a poll. And
I have a question about that.
sure.
If our math, like before, if it's weak, would it be harder to start off like in order? Or is it something that is doable?
It is doable either way. And it looks like just making a poll now, I didn't get that. Okay, well, I'm going to do a different poll I had about Rate Your Math 20 Foundation. So here's a Zoom poll. Are you seeing a poll jump up on your screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You can pick more than one. LCC page never loaded. Okay. And then I will also put the same poll. Here. Now I'm seeing the answers sort of appear as you do them. I haven't done a poll before in Zoom. Are you seeing any answers yet, or do I have to end it first?
You have to end it first.
End first, okay. I wish I could set it otherwise if I wanted. And are you able to watch me write on my shared screen at this time, or
Yes.
is
Yes.
this my poll
Yeah.
window like block what you were doing? Okay. Anyone else want to do the poll? Looks like one person has it, but I can't see who has. So someone's faking being here. They're off getting lunch or something. Okay, end the poll. So share results. There we go. Okay, in fact, I'm going to just grab that and stick it. Just so we have it for archiving. If you're curious how I did that, I have a program called ShareX that runs in the background down by the clock and lets me grab any window from my screen and just paste it. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Okay, now I'm going to invite you to come to the Jamboard again. And you don't have to put your name, if that would be embarrassing. You can just grab on the side the pen here, pick whatever color you want, and like put a check mark to mark which of these two things you like better. And if you want me to put a check mark for you, but you're having trouble getting to the Jamboard, then just put something in chat. You can chat me privately and say, put a check mark for me over here on one side or the other.
Do we have to ask to be an editor in order to make a check mark?
I
Yeah, right
think
now it says view only.
it says view only.
Yeah.
Let me fix that then.
Okay.
So I will go to your emails and grab all of them and add all of those as editors. Send.
My apologies. That is my email. I don't know why it's not my Lane email.
Email. Okay, well, I'll take that out and hit send. And feel free again to give me some other one. It should work with maybe Outlook and Google or at War or something. Okay, so now it should be true that you can write on it. You might have to do reload or control F5 or something like that to force it to see that you are now a privileged person.
Mine still says view only.
Here still says view only. Let me pause the recording. So we've made some check marks, got sharing the Jamboard working, and learned about the hard refresh, Control F5 or Command R on a Mac. And it looks like most people want to do the 52-bit in order, but just today only, I'm going to do a little bit for the very basic foundations for the some Math 20 review before I jump into the Math 52 book. So let's do that. I'll get a new Jamboard page ready and talk just a little bit about some actual math. I'm again going to stop the recording and restart it just so it breaks it up into sections nicely for Zoom.